Oh, now it's going. Now it's going.
All right.
All right. All right, family. Peace and love. You know, this is a Straight Talk Radio show. We're back again. I don't really care about bloopers. Like, y'all have no idea the amount of technical difficulties we had to go through to get this show started for y'all this morning. All right. But y'all know who I am. Andre Hill Jr., a.k.a. Andre Amaru Dave. And I have a returning guest, my great friend, Raven Alvarez, a.k.a. Fly Priestess, in the house this morning. How are you doing, beloved? How are you doing, sister?
I am awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Dre, for having me on again. I'm excited to be here, and I can't wait because every phone conversation we have is a whole podcast. So let's get it in today.
Listen, y'all. When she's absolutely right. When we get on the line as family, y'all be missing out on that. Well, we stated that we're going to try to record our conversations. We're going to try to get in the habit of that because y'all be missing some good stuff when we be talking to y'all. Y'all be missing some good stuff. But it's all good. We're going to try to deliver it to you this morning. And so we're going to be talking about some very intricate things today. We're going to be talking about land economics, community economics, and how that relates to the root chakra, right? How that relates to the root chakra. So before we get into that, though, I want to give my friend and guest here her flowers for being a very adept student, practitioner, teacher, and healer. All things regarding all chakra. So before we get started, first and foremost, I'll put your biography in the description of the flyer, right? Okay. But if you don't mind running through all of your accolades, you know, or however many you can spout off the top of your head.
Oh, okay. You're gonna make me do it myself.
If I gotta pull up the flyer, I will. Hold on, give me a second. Meanwhile, just just give us, who you are, basically, who you are.
Yeah, sure. Okay, well, I am Raven Alvarez. I am a high priestess. I'm a Kemetic high priestess. I am initiated to the goddesses Wajet, who is my main goddess who I serve. My Ka is Auset, so I'm also initiated to Auset. I am also an Ianifa of Oya, the goddess Oya. I am the creator of the Wajet system of yoga. It is a Kemetic serpent power yoga, very, very, very powerful system. I have been a nutrition therapist, a life coach, a certified Reiki master. I'm a certified EFT tapping master practitioner. I just have a passion for wellness, for spiritual transformation, for just seeing the community and seeing individuals, seeing families, individuals, just seeing everybody live their destiny that they came to Earth to live. I am passionate about seeing people actualize their purpose for being on Earth. And so all of the levels that is required, all of the healing that is necessary to take place, because we arrive here in a traumatized state. So there's a lot of healing. Wajet is about fire purification. And I handle all of that. So I've learned all the bases to cover. And the most, I would say, maybe not the most important, but one of the most key points is that I'm a medical medium. So I am able to look inside of the body at a psychic level and actually see where misalignments and malfunctions are taking place. So I work with people, I work with clients one-on-one, and I also have healing courses and books on different topics. So I hope that nutshells my who I am.
Listen, I want to go through the biography you gave me, but you retained it better than I can probably resell it, right? But no, that's good. And that's a lot. That's a lot of skill. You feel me? That's a lot of experience. And so it's like I'm honored to have you on the show with me. You feel me? So you can deliver deliver you. I can't even just say one thing. Deliver you to the people. You feel what I mean? Deliver you to the peoples. And you know, I want to talk a bit about myself. My audience pretty much knows who I am.
Yeah. Well, yes, my audience will be learning you for the first time too. So please introduce
Gotcha.
yourself so that when my people get to you, that that they know who you are.
Understood. Listen, guys, my biography is a lot shorter than hers. You feel what I'm saying? It's a little shorter. But where do I start? You know what? I got to put together a biography, the same format that you did yours. You know, I haven't, out of all the experiences I've gained over the years, I've yet to compile them. I've yet to compile them. But in a nutshell, I am I humbly say this, a master cosmologist, right? I have an extensive background in real estate and construction. I'm also an agriculturalist. I like to call myself an industrialist. Let's say an organic industrialist, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So in other words, when we're talking about all of the mechanisms of industry which provide us with the things that we need to live from day to day, I know how to gather the systems that do those things on a basic level and convert them into communities that we are most familiar with and that we live within, if that makes sense. So in other words, my life's work at this point is creating self-sustainable microcosms for us, right? Getting us away from the matrix-style cities and grids that we live within that are extremely harmful to our well-being on a day-to-day basis and our overall mission as far as going forward in life. You feel what I mean? So in a nutshell, that's who I am. That's what I'm about. And so on the show today, we're going to be talking about how we merge these two worlds, right? Is on the outside looking in, us just stating those things, trying to figure out how are we going to put both of those in one lane. Trust me, me and Raven, we talk all the time. We do it all the time. All the time. Yeah, it's like, listen, we plan, plot, and strategize on y'all as a community all the time.
All the time.
All the time. But I do want to start with the getting into the root chakra. And I really like to hear it from you because I've heard, over the years with many different scientists and spiritual practitioners, they have their idea on the attributes of each chakra, right? But, I know you and I know how in depth you go into each chakra. And that's just starting with the root chakra. Can you give us a description and or an elaboration on everything regarding the root chakra, what it's about?
Sure, yeah. So, okay, well I want to preface this root chakra conversation by saying, first of all, because there are a lot of people who are into community development and things like that, who still consider anything to do with spirituality sort of woo-woo and something that is separate. We still have this mentality that we still have the church on Sundays mentality, a lot of us. And spirituality is not woo-woo. Spirituality is science. Spirituality, and the reason why I'm Kemetic, the reason why I survived the Hotep era that our community went through is because because I'm a scientist. And so I may be called a high priestess, but that is just a master scientist. That is an ancient name for a master scientist. It means somebody who has mastered the laws of physics necessary for us to operate inside the physical vessel that we come here in, to operate on this living ball of rock that we are living on, and to how we function in space, whether we are inside the incarnated body or not. Indeed. So there's a science to this whole entire thing. So breaking down the anatomy, the spiritual anatomy, is an important key to understanding, because where blockages develop in our spiritual anatomy eventually manifest into our physical reality. So the bridge between land development, because people, some people might have looked at the episode and thought like land community economics and root chakra. What's the point of those three? And they meet at understanding how to clear out the pipes, for to speak, is and how clear those pipes are is a reflection of our capacity to develop the things that we're looking for, whether it's on a personal level that we're trying to manifest money, or whether it's on a community level and we're trying to get communal economic empowerment and development. All of those things are root chakra. All of that falls under the root chakra. So just to go ahead. So I wrote a few things down because Jay knows we can talk all day. So I wrote down the key points that I wanted to make sure to cover. And I'll cover those first. So just about the root chakra. Root chakra is about your grounding, that is your earthing, that is your ability to stay connected to the place where you're from, stay connected to your family of origin. It is about basically all of your survival needs come through the root chakra. So survival sex, as in sex for the purpose of procreation, that is root chakra. So your sense of self, your security, that is root chakra. Feeding yourself, that's root chakra, and just being grounded, and the fight or flight intuition, the fight or flight ability is also root chakra. So when the root chakra is, when the root chakra is in harmony, it is in balance and alignment, it's fully developed, people have a great sense of self. They're great manifestors. If they have an idea about something, they will work it out. There's no blockage saying, well, I can't do this and I'm not good enough for that. There's a sense of just the capacity that whatever it is that we want in life, that we have a right to it. And so people go out and get it. And they go out and get it without taking it from others, because a healthy root chakra means I have enough, I am enough, and I can go out and get everything that's mine, and I don't need to take it from others. So that's healthy root chakra. And it's also healthy root chakra is plays well together. I used to be a school teacher, and one of the things, one of the literal boxes when we're grading children on their behavior in early years education is plays well with others. So if you can't play well with others, if you can't go out and build a community, if you can't go and discuss a plan, create something and build a community with others, that is a reflection of a root chakra blockage. So that's harmonious root chakra. So let's go to imbalances. So the imbalances cause people to be reckless in their behavior, to be constant pleasure seeking. So people who are use drugs excessively, use alcohol excessively, use sex excessively, use food excessively. All of those things are all root chakra. People who are selfish or narcissistic, people who are prone to violence, having a lack of trust in others, those are root chakra damage issues. People who are uncomfortable around foreigners. And by foreigners, I mean anybody that's not your your tribe, your friends who look just like you, people who are in your family, anybody who seems different, who has a different way of doing things. People with damaged root chakras feel threatened by other people's way of doing things. In the community, when somebody is saying, no, we need to all be poly, and then somebody else is saying, no, poly's going to kill us all, and they can't meet in the middle about other issues just because they're different. When somebody's Republican and somebody's Democrat, and they're lost inside the identity title, and they cannot get along and build things, that is a root chakra issue. Those are all root chakra. So that's misaligned, disharmonious root chakra.
Gotcha.
So root chakras are related to all different things. So there's even sexuality. So for example, there are different positions that are related to different chakras. So doggy style would be a root chakra. That's root chakra sexuality.
What?
So when we start talking about healing, we talk about because you can heal somebody with that, or you can abuse somebody with that. So you can abuse somebody with doggy style sex, or you can actually assist in a person's healing process if you are consciously aware of what it is that you're doing as you're doing these things. And as we jump into speaking about our land, we can heal each other by taking back land, by taking back power also. But just quickly to finish off this root chakra introduction. So the root chakra is connected to and affects the blood, the bones, the kidneys, the skin, hair, nails, the spine, the teeth. And I'm saying spine separately than other bones because the spine has a different energetic what altogether. So it is bone, but it has an entirely different energetic system going on in it. So the legs, the anus, the cervix, and the prostate gland. So all of those are under the dominion of the root chakra.
Gotcha.
So, and as far as the astrology of the root chakra, I'm now going to hand it over to you, Dre, and I would like to hear your.
I got you.
Planetarily and astrologically speaking, what are the root chakra?
Yeah. So when we think about those parts of the body that you mentioned, interestingly, the skin, the hair, the nails, the bones, all of those are ruled by Capricorn, right? And so, as a side note, I for a while I was curious if my root chakra was underdeveloped to some extent, right? And then me and you have a conversation about this, and then I'm like, oh yeah, it's like I have enough desire to build community in a fashion and share, to where I'm like, well, maybe my root chakra is a little overdeveloped, but at the same time, I think me just being a Capricorn to some extent, right, kind of naturally puts me in a place of at least some root chakra understanding, or that's just my natural state of being in a sense. Yeah. You see what I'm saying, as a Capricorn, right? But yes, but to answer your question though, when we think about again the skin, the hair, the nails, anything that's providing structure to the body, right? These are all things that are going to be, let's say, either controlled, ruled by, or let's say a more softer word, relative to Saturn and Capricorn things, right? Because when we think about Capricorn on a macro level, in contrast to, let's say, Taurus and Virgo, other earth signs, which are all about structure, right? Capricorn has a desire to encase and secure the collective, the community, the nation, right? The territory, whatever the case. So as in the sense of, let's say, Taurus is more so concerned with what I personally have, right? What makes me secure in particular, right? It's just, Taurus look at you and be like, hey, if you cool, then I'm cool. But
yes.
Regardless of how much money or little money you have, like if you're comfortable in you, then I'm indifferent about whatever your plight of lack is or abundance is. Yes. But Capricorn, on the other hand, we literally have a innate drive, an innate desire to make sure that the entire family structure is secure.
Yes.
Right? And so that starts to expand outward. So not only are we concerned with our immediate family, then we start to be concerned with, all right, so my family is straight, but then who is my family going to interact with? Right? Is my family going to be able to interact with other families who are also secure, so that we can keep a particular ideal intact as a collective of people, right? And still relating that back to the parts of the body that Capricorn are related to or rule over. Again, we're talking about the bones, we're talking about the skin, we're talking about everything that kind of brings a solid body together and holds it together, right? And so all of these things are let's say, Capricornian in nature, 10th house in nature, and also regarding Saturn. And any of my people who study astrology, anything about Saturn typically gets a bad rap, almost like as if it's the Grim Reaper or something. You see what I'm saying?
Which it is to some extent.
To some extent. But
it's just the doorway. It's just holding the door open.
An analogy I would use too is to just take a look at Saturn as if it's that father figure in your cosmological energy. You feel what I mean? It's designed to help you stand up on your own too. You feel what I mean? And does it bring karmic rectification? Yeah, but truth is, let's say it like this: prior to reincarnating, you're the one that made that deal with Saturn for whatever your circumstances are. You're the one to say, "Hey, Saturn, at this particular point in time, I want you to check me on X, Y, and Z." Because that's what I want to learn.
Problem? Read your contract.
Read your contract, exactly. That's a whole nother contracts. Capricornian nature, let's say even root chakra in nature, because again, it's about making an agreement that everybody is secure and agrees to, right? So saying all of that to say this, astrologically, that is what house, sign, and planet relates to the parts of the body that are, like you say, under the dominion of the root chakra. So segueing into a broader conversation about this, right? When we start thinking about root chakra, and correct me if I'm wrong as far as what word I'm using to describe this when I say over or underdeveloped. Is that a good way we can use? Okay. All right. Yeah. So
over there, well, there are actually more than one. So there's over or underdeveloped, and then there's basically, for lack of a better word, just filled with debris. It can become filled with psychic debris, so that it can be fully developed. But then if it's filled with debris, it's like a liver. Like if you can have an adult liver, but if it's filled with alcohol over and over and over, day after day after day, it becomes filthy with debris, and it can no longer process and filter blood in the way that it's supposed to. So a filthy root chakra can no longer filter experiences properly. So it can be developed, but it can be not. So there are different, there's more than one level of misalignment.
Wow, I ain't know that. A lot of people didn't know that. You feel me? Because that's kind of making my point here. I think as individuals, when we're trying to, well, let's say us trying to diagnose our community and by individual, right? I think that's a very important point, because a lot of people in the conscious community, or let's say the spiritual community, who are studying the chakra systems, main two terms I hear is, like I say, is overdeveloped, underdeveloped, or unbalanced.
Yeah.
Right? But going in depth to it, like you say, that's heavy, because now we can imagine how much debris all of us have in our root chakra.
Right.
Based on this society that we've been conditioned in.
Right, exactly. Because remember, the chakras spin, just to give a visual example of exactly what, so this is the chakra, this is what a chakra looks like when a child is developing. So when a baby is very small, the chakra is like a little small flower bud that's closed. And as the child develops, it starts to open up, so that by the time you reach adulthood, it should be about like this. So it's obviously it's not still, because we know that the chakra means wheels, but the chakras actually spin in two different directions. So the chakras spin like this. They don't do one circle going around, and there's no, there are a lot of misinformation about the chakras, but they actually, and this is proven by the law of physics also, but the way that they spin in order to draw energy in and out, they have a double spin. So there's like a double layer of petals, and they spin this way. So this is brand new. So at whatever point that the psychic debris starts to fill the body, it affects that level of development. So there are adults whose chakras are still doing this because they've had traumatic childhoods. Now they have two issues. Now they have to get the debris out, and then they still have to complete the actual development where it opens all the way up and begins to spin. So because it's reaching adulthood, it's going to start spinning. But if it's spinning here, it's not giving off much energy or taking in enough energy to complete their survival. So there's more than one factor at play here. And this is what we see on a community level when you see people starting to try to build. I know of people who've gone overseas, they moved to Belize and try to start a whole new, land and community in Belize. And going to land, and this is one thing when I want to talk about healing the root chakra, going to your purpose, going to your place of wholeness, even if you don't feel ready for it, going to it will actually heal you. So even if you're not healed, you can have this and all damaged and broken. And if you go move to your off-grid place, by being in that off-grid place, by walking around barefoot or absorbing the trees, you're going to actually, it's going to open it up. So what's going to happen, it's going to automatically, by you living in that, it's going to heal your root chakra by you living in a situation where life is how do you say, like a conducive to the opening and clearing of that root. Thank you. I caught it psychically.
Cool. That's heavy. That's articulate right there. And I think that is, as we're pondering on how to heal the root chakra of, let's be real, the people who are willing, and let's say in a first phase. Now, mind you, I'm giving this to y'all as I'm thinking it in the context of how me and my people, like Raven, we talk about this offline. You see what I'm saying? But y'all just follow me here, right? So just the concept of getting groups of people who are willing to say, let's go and start an entirely different community. Not necessarily off-grid by standards, which you hear, let's say, from people online, sovereign citizens and things like that. You don't have to necessarily say, we're going to go live in the bushes and live in huts in order to escape the matrix, right?
Yeah, it can be a mansion. Mansions count.
You can live in a mansion off grid. I'm gonna tell you like this is how we gonna do it. I'm gonna tell you right now. If you are interested in joining us and joining our collective, and when we begin to build communities, we're not living in squalor. Right. We're not living uncomfortable.
Yes, we're not going to be scooping dirt on top of poop, as many off-grid community people feel that is the right way to live. That is not necessary. We have enough technology as humans to live in tune with nature, as the ancients did, and to still thrive and flourish and take advantage of that technology from a natural perspective. So yeah,
absolutely.
Because I'm not scooping poop. I'm just not going to live that way.
And I ain't doing it either. As the man in the community, I ain't doing it. I'm not scooping your poop. I'll show you how to install a very effective toilet, and we'll install the water filtration system for you. That's where we at with it. All right, that's where we at with it. or even if you're real gung ho about it, we'll show you how to use your poop for fertilizer. That's fine. But anyway, off the subject of poop. So as a method of diagnosis, me and you were talking the other day, maybe the other week, one of them times. And I remember I called you and I said, hey, I want you to, from your heart and soul, channel, download where it is that we're going to migrate to and live. Right? In other words, I was like, go find the land. Right? And I said this to you because you are a woman. And I'm going to assume my own root chakra is intact or developed enough and fairly clean of debris to some extent, right? Because I'm not going to claim it's like my root chakra or any one of my chakras are just squeaky clean, right? Because I live in this matrix just like the rest of you.
All of ours could use a little polishing now and then. It's like it could get tarnished like silver, they need a little polishing up now and then. That's where the YJ yoga comes in handy. So let me throw that in there. But yeah.
For sure. No, we're gonna talk about that as extensively as you want to, right? Where was I going with that though? You finding the land. Because and in my mind, as a man, So I don't care where we are. You see what I'm saying? As far as I have the confidence to be able to build and sustain anywhere.
Yeah.
Right? Anywhere on this planet. Doesn't matter if we're in the mountains, doesn't matter if we're in the tropics. As far as I'm concerned, you know, I was fortunate enough to be able to grow up with men who put me through the rites of passage, let's say learning construction trades. And what that does for you as a man, it really does, I believe, help develop your root chakra in a very healthy way, right? Develop your root chakra in a healthy way. Definitely. Because it literally gives you that confidence that, okay, yeah, I mean, I know how to harmonize with nature when it comes to practically building anything that regards our sustainability.
Right. Yes. Super important. And men are supposed to be hands-on. And when I say supposed to, I say that in talking about not talking about right from wrong, just talking about in the sense of alignment. Men are hands-on beings. So when men are constantly taught to sit down, put your arms down, be quiet, sit back, listen to the teacher, listen to this woman spout information into your face for 12 years, that is actually damaging to the root chakra of a man. So it's part of the conversation that we're going to be going into later about men and community development. That system is actually, that's, I would go so far as to call that buck breaking. The public education system is buck breaking.
Indeed. Just a short story on it. When I was in school, you know, as intelligent as I am, right? You know, I remember I got put into one of them slow classes for like English or something like that in one of the grades, right? And imagine it's like, you know, and it was a matter of whether I was able to pay attention in a class, like you say, with a woman teacher who was just giving me information, and I was just not retaining it. I was bored. I was falling asleep, and all of a sudden I was deemed, you know, just not adept enough to understand 7th grade English. Right?
If only they knew.
Right. You see what I mean?
I have to say to you all, of the very few people in my life, because I am a very, very well-researched, very studied person. I have a massive array of books besides the massive amount of experience I have. So there are very few people left in the world who can consistently blow my mind. And Dre is one of those people. So to be in a class where people are setting you as under par intellectually is a crime.
Yeah. I appreciate it. And then there's so many other brothers who go through that or went through it and still go through it in this current educational system. And so that is an entirely another topic, I think, for another show when we start talking about our young Aboriginal girls versus boys in this current educational system. But that still leads us back into this, though, right? And I want to kind of make sure I'm driving my points home and not over talking here. All right. So what we're getting at here is land and community economics, and how that relates to root chakra. You know, re-emphasizing that, right? And I want to lay it out. I want to lay, like, let's say, the overview out first, and then we're going to try to hone in on how to heal root chakra for men and women, Aboriginal men and Aboriginal women, who will be the, let's say, the first phase contributors to the development and construction of self-sustainable microcosms. All right. Yeah. And for everybody that's listening, I know that sounded like a mouthful right there, but just hear me out and follow us on this. So, I have a plight of my own here. I got a plight of my own, and it is finding Aboriginal men, what we would call Black men, on the planet, but especially here in the Americas, who are willing to say, hey, brothers, let's go and find the areas that we want to be that are, let's even say, strategic from a military standpoint. In other words, just like the military always wants to set up somewhere where they have access to water. Just some, see what I mean? Just something small like that. They got access to water, so they have the option of transportation by land, air, and sea. Right? Let's go find this land to where we can develop a community that is cohesive and conducive to how we want to develop and cultivate our families, children, and the next generation, essentially what it's all about, all right? Finding the brothers who want to do that is a bit of a task, right? And so I had to step aside myself and say, okay, so what is it about me individually that has, not only do I understand the concept of it, I'm obsessed with it. You see what I mean? I'm obsessed with being able to locate geographical locations and say, I like to build there. I like to build there, and I like to, not just me, I like to bring a whole regime of people who are on the same mental wavelength as me, right? And this is what goes into it. It's not just me finding the land or identifying the land, or even listening to you say, hey, brother, we as the collective of sisters, we think this place will be most conducive. You come say that to me, and I say, okay, let me take a look at it. Let me take a look at where it is. And immediately what I started doing is trying to calculate, all right, the growing seasons, the access to water tables and or rivers or streams or oceans. And then I try to figure out to what extent are we in proximity to another major city with an electrical grid. All right. All of these things I start to think about. But all of these things are what our basic resources. And it's the key thing to me is I want us to own, control, operate, and distribute these basic resources. That is the primary concern of mine. And so it just makes me wonder, okay, again, going back to it, okay, me as a man, I'm interested in that stuff. I feel like a nerd. It's like, even when I'm not, even if I don't have a project, a construction project that I'm working on, I'm studying this stuff, right? And so, I wonder, I'm trying to figure out, like, what is it about the average Aboriginal man that makes it to where he's not interested in this? And so, coming back to that root chakra dilemma, it's like, how do we get the average brother, the average Aboriginal man to say, regardless of whatever your career niche is in this world, you can be a computer programmer, you can be whatever it is that you want to be, but as a innate mechanism that needs to be within you, like, it should be this. You should be interested in this. So me trying to come to a conclusion here, it's like, for men, is there methods of healing the root chakra for men, basically?
Yeah, absolutely. So let me preface that. I always got something to say before I say what I'm going to say. But because being a 5 placement Sagittarius, my method of doing everything is get in and do it, and then we'll see what happens.
let me listen. Most of the people, keep your point, please. I just want to emphasize this about you. You have 5 placements in Sag, but they're also all in the 10th house, just for everybody, all of my astrologers. So she's very Capricorn-like as well, is my point.
Yes, I have Venus in Capricorn too. So I have my love, how I express my love is by developing the community. I love that's my life's work and my passion and everything. So it's, it was built in, it came downloaded and built in. I can't even be anything else. When I try to run from this, I can't even do it. but you know, going back to your point about the men and this development of the root chakra. So there, you know, going back to our places of you know, of the areas of the root chakra is spine. So spine, the prostate, that's root chakra in men. So the root chakra, and then so I'm going to very lightly branch off here just to say that in men, because there's a massive number of men who have experienced not physical abuse, but also have experienced sexual abuse, and these are some of the ways of. And if I'm not just talking about within you, because you carry the stories of your ancestors in your blood, which is root chakra. So if it didn't happen to you, but it happened to your great grandfather on a plantation somewhere, or trying to cross the ocean, or trying to bring, you know, his family to a new, you know, new place. If any of these things happen, then these stories, until they are cleansed, they're still in your root chakra. They're still stored there. So as men, when you think of it, there's a lot of things. So just the 12-year buck breaking system, AKA public school education, that's already one challenge. Anything that your bloodline is carrying, your ancestry is carrying about any kind of buck breaking where there was any damage to the male line, specifically in the prostate, to the skin, which we can, you know, we've seen images of men who are just, you know, whipped beyond compare. Any skin is root chakra. So that is, you know, all of these things are root chakra damage. You know, and so the healing process is first about actually being aware that all of these things exist. And I would say that the root chakra may be the most difficult of all of them to heal, because the root chakra, when it's misaligned, damaged, or underdeveloped, the root chakra has one of the greatest challenges it has is trust. So you need trust in order to open up, recognize who you are, and heal. It's required for healing. Indeed. So if you don't have that with you, then it's going to make healing very challenging. So to heal the root chakra, you need the root chakra to be a little bit healed already, you know, so essentially. But then if we circle back around to things like doggy style sex, so low bass music, bass frequency music, clothing that even presents heavy on the bottom, like big baggy trousers, as opposed to, you know, like the skinny jean, big baggy trousers, deep bass music, shoes that are thick and chunky and heavy. All of these things are all root chakra. All of these things feed the root chakra energy. Doggy style sex feeds the root chakra energy. And again, when it's done in a negative or discordant way, it can cause damage to the woman because her cervix is root chakra. But doggy style sex can heal men. So this is one of the things that when we talk, I'm sure everybody's like, yeah, let me go work on my healing. I'll be right back. Say less. Right. Don't all jump in and use that method, everybody. Let me finish.
Right. I was like, let her finish. Just wait till we're done. All right.
But you know, that's why. So we notice that now in our collective unconscious, you know, certain fields come in, because look at now all of a sudden, you know, before, you know, when I was growing up, and I'm much older than I look, audience who don't know me yet.
Y'all have no idea. I wasn't gonna say nothing unless she was gonna say something. Go ahead.
I'll throw it in later on. But let's just say I have mastered my root chakra energy. I know how to, you know, keep my genes in alignment with my thoughts. You know, when I was growing up, you know, a flat booty, you know, the white, you know, all white standards of beauty were what was in, and, you know, flat booty was a thing. And now we have circled back around to a root chakra era where, you know, the booty is in, you know, the getting backing it up, twerking, all of these kind of things. So we're in, you could tell by the times we're living in that we're in a root chakra era. So a root chakra era is a perfect time, because we're collectively in this, we're collectively in the bass music. And so what the system does in order to try to counterattack our automatic healing, the twerking and the bass music and the doggy style sex and all of these things, is to insert damage into those things. So they start to let's insert negative lyrics So they're going to get bass music, but we're going to put some lyrics on top of it that are just going to feed right in and damage that chakra, make sure that damage stays locked in place, because the bass music will heal you. Drum and bass music will heal you, those type of things. So we have to pay attention to what it is that we're feeding this chakra in order to heal it. When we are working on healing it, when you want to heal the root chakra, you need to lay off the foul language, lay off the negative lyrics in the music and things like that. And also sexual energy has to be focused with a powerful and loving intent. The heart chakra has to be engaged. In order to heal the root chakra, it is the engagement of the heart chakra that actually will help heal the root and draw the root, so that when everything is done from a place of love, then that's how. So that when, let's say, for example, people with root chakra issues have trouble paying the bills, always late to places. They have trouble following time, trouble getting things paid. So when you start to shift and start to just force yourself to be on time to somewhere, force yourself to start changing your mindset about your bills. When you pay a bill, boom, invoke gratitude. Man, I'm glad the phone company let me do this let me rock out and talk to everybody for a whole month before they ask for their money. I'm so grateful that I'm so grateful the electric company trusts me enough to let me kick on all the electricity I want all day, every day for 30 days before they ask for their cut. Thank you. I'm appreciative of that trust. Thank you. When we start looking at bills, and that's activating the heart, because that's activating gratitude, rather than be like, oh, these damn bills. Because we don't have bills. We make bills. We don't have bills. We make bills. We made the phone calls. We turned on the lights. We got the Wi-Fi on. We made the bills. So when the bills come due, why are we going to be mad then? So when we start to invoke gratitude and open the heart, that starts to invoke the healing process for the root chakra. So this is something that men need to invoke if they want that particular outcome. So this is a free will dimension that we live in. Nobody has to do anything, but if you want this outcome, these are the ways to do it. So it's like that. So nobody has to do anything. You don't have to. And then another thing is and then again, with like money, finances, things like that, with unclenching the fists and being more free. For example, taking a woman out on a date. And if you take a woman out on a date, don't think, oh my God, I got to pay for this B word. Oh man, think, wow, how grateful I am for this opportunity to open up my heart chakra and to interact with some feminine energy. I am so grateful for this experience that I'm willing to share something back, because there is something that the feminine is able to give to the masculine, which the masculine needs in order to be whole. So the fact that somebody sat with you for an hour or 2 hours or whatever and gave you some harmony and alignment back into your heart center, the gratitude of that, just like the gratitude with the bills, is like, wow, I have to give something back to her. Like what an amazing experience it is to have had my heart chakra open, to sit in her beauty. So no matter what she looks like, if she dressed up, got cute, got pretty, put on some makeup, did her hair in whatever way that she thought was beautiful, she was coming to be beautiful and present her beauty to you. So those are all things that open up the heart center. And every time the heart is open, that stimulates root chakra healing. So connecting with feminine heals the root in men. Connecting with beauty heals the root in men. Connecting with the gratitude, the places of gratitude, all of those things stimulate and heal the root. And they help open the root past that trust point and past that rigidness and past that block, and actually open it up just enough, get the centers, the petals spinning just enough that healing can become an automatic process after that.
Got you. An automatic process after that. And I think that's key right there. Automatic process after that. That was all heavy. All of that was heavy. And I want to go back and touch on a few things you said, especially with developing the mind state of having gratitude for being able to exchange currency with whoever, whatever entity you agree with, essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Because one thing I've come to learn, one thing I've come to learn is when you can have that gratitude and you can have that let's say more positive mental state on unclenching your fist and letting money go and let it actually circulate, right? That's the only way you really be able to get to a point to where if you're going to be able to build your own and sustain your own and then create it on top of that foundation, it's like you have to at least clear your level of trust at this root chakra level.
Yes.
In the system as it is right now. Because if you can't, like you say, if paying an electric bill is an issue for you, then let's say going all the way to the other end, creating electricity to sell becomes a whole other issue for you. Well, you can't even fathom that.
Right. How can you create things when you're angry, even at the point of receiving?
Exactly. Because when we think about land community economics, we do live in communities to where our, let's say, our currency is constantly hemorrhaging and we don't know how to get it to circulate back in. And a lot of it is based on what you just conveyed. We don't have a trust factor on the circulation. We don't have a trust factor with each other as well, right? And so what we're seeing is a community of us. Well, for what it's worth, every other community practically targets or preys on our community for blood, for circulation, for currency, with no real intention or respect on circulating it back.
Right.
It's because
let me just quickly, sorry, hold your point. Just it add this in too. Nature does not. This is the law of physics. Nature does not like a vacuum. So if we are not doing it, someone is going to do it. So at some point, you can't even be mad that they are preying on us because somebody needs to get in there and complete the circle. So they're like, well, if your circle is open. So if there's a whole break point right here where you're not circulating your money. Well, I'll jump in. I'll close the circle for you. I'll jump in and take your money right out your hand. I am happy to do that. So if you don't have creator and receiver in your circle and all you have is receiver, somebody has to jump in and do the creating.
Interesting. Yes.
I'm not even mad at them because once you realize that you're sovereign and you actually and realize that not at an intellectual way, when you realize in your entire being that you are sovereign, that you can create anything out of any circumstance, you stop being mad at other people and you just start creating. When you create, there's room for you in there. Create. Stop opposing, fighting. That's all wasting energy too. That's wasting precious root chakra resource, actually fighting the others and trying to stop them. They're taking our money. No, they're not. They're just creating.
And we're giving to it. Just giving it to them, pretty much, right? Yeah. And so it's a very good point. It's a very good point. And so getting to a state of mind to where, we become that creator, like fearlessly. Because I think that's another issue about it too. Having the fear that, or let's say having the fear of being what we've been deeming as a predator. See what I'm saying? It's like, I've had to go through this in my mind recently. If you're thinking about quote unquote economic racism, and to me, it's the concept of that is victimization for one. I don't like that loss of power. You see what I'm saying? I don't like to admit that I'm powerless as a victim.
Right.
That really grates my nerves. That grates my root chakra for real.
Yes, thank you. I was exactly about to say that. Yeah, that's root chakra damage. As soon as you put yourself in the victim seat, damage.
Great damage. And so recently I was like, hey, listen, y'all, I want us to get to the state of mind to where we become the bad guy, meaning we become those collectives, those institutions that create structures that seemingly pray and, or let's just say strategize on how we're going to circulate resources. It's like, if we're complaining about the bank, if we're complaining about the electric company, complaining about the water company, if we're complaining about anything that we're consuming, about who's controlling that, then it's like the obvious go-to is, well, why don't we not only create it organically, create it righteously, and also fearlessly and ferociously.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
Emphasis on those two, fearlessly and ferociously.
Yeah.
Because we can do all four. We can create it organically, righteously, fearlessly, and ferociously. We can do that. And we can do it without any guilt. I know. So
yeah, exactly. Guilt and shame are damaged root chakra things too. So there's no guilt necessary. Nobody else has guilt. While you were speaking in my mind, as Dubai comes to mind when we're talking about land and economic development. Dubai was a desert 40 years ago, and it is one of the most thriving and wealthy cities on the planet today. One of the most, if not the most, and it was built out of desert. You couldn't take any less hospitable condition to build something from. No available water, no, just wide open land, everything, every infrastructure from the very most basic possible had to be brought there in order for that to be what it is. And now it has like underground pools, it has massive hotels, Dubai has everything. Most expensive real estate in the world. And that's in 40 years. So it is possible to build a whole kingdom in one generation.
In 40 years. I'm glad you brought that up. I want the people listening, go look up, just go Google Dubai right now. And then you're going to take a look at Dubai, then you're going to take a look at New York. And you're going to see the difference in the advancement of infrastructure and architecture there.
Exactly.
Let me tell you guys, it's like a lot of Americans, especially in the construction industry. Let's say, different races, different persuasions, because I work in the industry. I know all kinds of people from all over the world that are in this industry. A lot of Americans, in American style, talking shit about Dubai, talking about, they got these islands, like created islands made in the image of flowers. You got to see what I'm talking about. Let's go look at it. But they've been underdeveloped for, I don't know, maybe about 10 years or something like that. But either way, I was still just marveling at the ingenuity and the architecture of it. It's just like you say, me knowing the science behind what it takes to build something like that. It's literally in the desert. You see what I'm saying? It's like you gotta understand how much confidence
That's some healthy root chakra. That's some like, we got this.
as a nation, let alone just a community.
Yeah.
You feel me? And it's just, I would love nothing more than to have a collective of our own Aboriginal people here in America to say, hey, we see it, we're going to go there and we're going to conquer it, and we're going to build whatever is in our heart, right? And because we're not short on skills, we're not short on intelligence, we're not short on ingenuity, but we're just short on will, short on courage.
Yeah.
Right.
And long on trauma, long on unresolved issues. Not to laugh at anyone's pain, but just the irony of the things that are driving us forward. When people do make these attempts to building economic communities for Indigenous people, for Aboriginal people, they are often founded in trauma. We got to get away from them. We got to, they're out to get us. And bringing that energy to the situation. If that's any of your purpose for why you want to create something, you're already bringing the trauma to the build. You're bringing it to the table. It's built into every brick. So that can't come with. That can't be the reason. The reason has to be for your own pure flow and joy, and because you know you can. You create because you know you can, not because the man is out to get you, not because you're trying to run away from something, not because the white man, the reptilians, the archons, the demons, the whoever is, somebody's coming after you to destroy you. You build it because you are a God being and you know you can. That's literally all that's necessary. Nothing else is needed. Everything has been provided on the planet. We have solar, we have water, we have all of these things. So Dubai didn't get built because somebody was like, oh man, these people are out to get us. And if we don't build this massive city that's unbelievable that everybody in the world will want to come to, like, that's not how Dubai got built. Dubai got built like, ooh, what else can we do? Oh, I have an amazing idea. All right, financial backers, who's going to put some money on this? Because people put money on like, wealth isn't money. Money follows wealth. Money chases wealth. Wealth is here. Wealth is here. When you come with a great idea and you're powerful and you know what you're doing, people like, oh, I'm gonna drop some money on that. She knows what she's talking about. He knows what he's doing. And that's money follows wealth. Money chases wealth.
Indeed.
But it does not, money runs from trauma.
It does. It runs from trauma and it runs from fear-based ideas. It does.
Yes. 100.
It absolutely does. And I haven't seen me jumping out here as a Black man and becoming an entrepreneur. I've yet to see someone put big money behind an idea that was based in lack, fear, trauma, any of it.
Right.
And I'm not just saying this to help prove your point. I mean, I have not seen it. The only time finances get put behind a project is when someone is confident, fearless, and even optimistic.
Mm-hmm. Necessary. Optimism is that open heart also.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of the money, and not saying that Dubai is a far reach to model, because it's not, but it is a great work though. It is a formidable feat in the way they built Dubai. Mm-hmm. Also, too, another just a side note, another let's say city that is in the concept phase in a similar area or approximate area of the world. The Saudi prince is going to put up about, I think, 500 billion.
You're talking about for the city, the walled city?
It's called the line. Yes.
Yes.
And let me talk about it just for a minute, just to give people context of what's happening and technically how we're not necessarily trying to catch up, but just get in alignment with those type of microcosms. So the Saudi prince, he's my age. He's born in 85, right?
Wow.
He's a prince, Virgo, born in the year of the ox, right?
Okay.
Prince though, and so he's got oil money, got plenty of money, and the authority to put. And listen, if I am misquoting this number, you guys go Google it and correct me. But the last time I looked into it, I'm gonna say this number again: 500 billion with a B, right? 500 billion into a mile-long city called the Line. Another word for it may be called NEOM, NEOM. This city is going to be completely AI integrated. Going to be no fossil fuel combustion motors as a form of transportation. It would probably.
I love how big oil money is like. We're not doing no fossil fuel in here.
You feel me? It's like that is the craziest. What do they call it? What's the word? Anyway, but that's wild though, right? Big oil money is going straight green in the middle of the desert.
Mm-hmm.
In the middle of the desert, it's going to practically have the same square mileage as, let's say, a city like New York. in a straight line right through the desert. And it is probably going to be one of the biggest and premier self-sustainable microcosms on the planet. Mm-hmm. Right? It may even, to some extent, I want to assume it's competing with Dubai in a sense.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Right? It is as well. Yeah.
I mean, like even the concept of it is so just imagine that, you know what I mean? You've got other nations who are, you know, beyond the point of conditioning their common citizens to you know, to just be consumers, and, you know, looking forward into the future of building what we're going to deem, or what we're going to coin now is like type 1 civilizations. Mm-hmm. In other words, meaning, you know, free energy, which allows you to just expand your lifestyle and living from day to day, to where you've got more time for yourself, you've got more time to create, you got more time to work on the root chakra and heart chakra, and just actually be a human being.
Right. Yeah. That's the beauty of where we're headed. A lot of people have so much fear, root chakra damage, about where we are headed, about where they go, oh, this AI is going to get us. Oh, this is going to get us. That's going to, oh, the economy is collapsing. The economy is not collapsing. The economy is shifting. There's a big difference between a shift and a collapse. A transformation goes upward and outward. A collapse goes downwards. It implodes on itself. That's totally different energies. We are expanding into a whole nother level of being where we can start to self-actualize. Like you said, once we're not working, except for when we want to, once we're not doing anything that's not our passion, we have time to actualize. We have time to connect with our communities. Jay and I both know what it feels like to have no time, because we're out here devoting all our time to community development. And so around the clock, all day, every day is about work and building and thriving and thinking and going to sleep and dreaming about it and waking up and writing it down. Like it's constantly there.
It is. And we just want y'all to have the same ability, right? Because me and Raven, like, we not poor, but we ain't rich yet either, right? But we have
But we are wealthy.
We're wealthy, very wealthy, right? And what we're mostly wealthy in is we have like the courage to straight up wake up every day and say, nah, I'm going to work towards building with everything we discussed thus far. Right? That's what we got the courage to do. So I don't want to necessarily say concluding, but segueing into how basic resource ownership pretty much shows you how to literally create money out of practically everything that you do.
Everything.
Right?
Midas touch.
Yes, indeed. But I do want to, family, I want you to imagine, though. Just imagine this very simple concept. When you wake up in the morning, you know that your energy is not only is it free, but it's also producing. Right? It's also producing. Imagine every time you plug something into your wall or you turn on a light switch, that actually creates a unit of energy that is now a form of currency. That can happen. It's a whole nother podcast we're going to have to do, or let's say a whole nother training course we're going to have to do on how that works. But it's definitely possible. Not more so than possible, it's actually a reality right now. It's actually a reality like right now. Let me give you a short concept on it. And other countries around the world are already getting into this. For every household in some countries that have solar energy, and they are in their house every day operating, just doing what they do. They just living, cutting on the stove, whatever the case, right? For every time they use their energy, it is logged in a database system that, okay, so you used this much energy today, and it was free, essentially. It was reusable energy. That those numbers get converted into a cryptocurrency coin that is then exchangeable to other communities around the world who are willing to say, we value your initiative and your ability to use and propagate free energy. So your coin, your digital coin, is worth something to me because I respect your lifestyle. I respect how you I respect how you resonate with nature on this planet, essentially. Mm-hmm. Right. And so when we're beginning to think, how do we not only do we sustain, but how do we use every one of our just basic functions and creation, right? This is what the world is coming to. Again, just to give you some confidence on that, it is a bit hard. You'd be hard pressed to find situations like that in America, but that's the whole point of us having this discussion.
Right. So, hard pressed to find it, but very straightforward to create it. I won't say easy, but straightforward to create it.
We can do this on American soil right here, right now. Mm-hmm. I don't want you to think that this is something that has to happen not even 5 years into the future. If we wanted to create this today, if we wanted to pull a source of money, acquire whatever geographical location, and install all self-sustainable resources, we could do that. We could do that. And I mean within a matter of, let's say, 2 to 3 years. All right? In a matter of 2 to 3 years, have a completely up-running community, completely self-sustainable, and not only just sustainable, but also producing. Also, too, when you think about your water, water's a big one. I want to put a good emphasis on water because we put a lot of emphasis on energy. But the truth is, I mean, until people start to sell air, water is probably your most important resource.
And the air sales are coming. Trust that. With the level of pollution, so they polluted our food, and then they sell us whole foods for, triple the price, quadruple, 5-10 times the price. The air is polluted. So trust, they will be at some point selling us. And actually, just to drop that in, if anybody was aware of what was happening in New York and New Jersey after the so-called Canadian wildfire pollution issues, made a haze over New York and New Jersey, which was 12 hours away, somehow made a haze so thick that people were not able to go outside, that people with any kind of conditions, health conditions were advised to just stay indoors. So so that kind of weather condition can be turned on at will. And so trust, the air situation is coming. When they feel that they can't parasite in another way, then they just activate another way. That's how it works. And that's why these conversations like Dre and I are having are so important, developing, because we need to create the microcosms now. It doesn't have to be Dubai big. It can be 2 acres of land with some food growing on it and show an arable model. And that model can be replicated and repeated. There's no need to reinvent the wheel every time. It can be replicated, repeated, or expanded, or all three. So this type of conversation, this is an important conversation because we're talking about what it's necessary from within to get you to the place where you can develop land and economic stability and sustainability. And we're talking about how to get it done. So nobody talks about the whole model. People either talk about the economic stability or they're talking about sitting around meditating all day. And it's not about sitting around meditating all day and then get up and then still be broke and still can't afford your light bill. Like there's a flow with this. There's a circle that needs to be completed with these two things.
Show you right.
And I'm not sure how much time we have left, but go ahead. I had one thing that I wanted to kind of close with about.
You're good. I was just looking at the time myself, and So go ahead, go ahead and because I think we've been running for about an hour. Because I think we I kind of lost count. I'm not gonna lie. Right? I lost count.
It was 11:11 when we started, actually.
Oh, okay, cool. That we'll get ready to close this out. But also, too, we're going to do a part 2 on your show tomorrow evening.
Yes. So just for anybody who's enjoying listening now, please catch the rest of this conversation over. My podcast is called Return of Wajedi, and I will explain all about Wajedi and what that means when you tune in tomorrow. So that's tomorrow evening. It's Sunday, every Sunday night, 9 p.m. So Dre will be my guest on my podcast, and we're going to finish having this conversation because this is so important, because this is, again, the bridge between these two conversations, between these two arenas is not as far apart as you think. They are one is required for the other. They are intertwined. So Return of Wajedi, it's available on Audible, on Spotify, on Apple Music, any other place where podcasts are available. You can tune in and find it there. And also you can find it on YouTube. All of these are recorded and saved on my YouTube channel, Temple of the Green Goddess. And you can also find them over if you want to support my Patreon. My Patreon is Patreon Temple of the Green Goddess. So you can go there, and all of these conversations and the behind the scenes of all of these conversations on my podcast are available by subscribing to Patreon there. So having said that, got that out the way. I want to finish, wrap things up, because I know you have another podcast you're about to head towards with this final thought from me. And this is something that I've watched over the years. I've watched people go off to create sustainable microcosms and go off and live in communities together. Watched Indigenous people, Brown people, Black people, Aboriginal people, whichever word we want to identify as, go off and create these communities and then have the communities collapse after a given time, whether it's weeks, months, or even manage to sustain for 2 or 3 years. Somehow they always manage to collapse. And what I realized as a person who works, I'm an expert in serpent power energy. I will go so far as to call myself an expert in serpent power energy and the flow and movement of serpent power. So when the what they call Kundalini or serpent power awakening happens and the root chakra is opened, going to live off grid, going to live in nature, these kind of things, like we were saying before, there's certain things that activate and open the root chakra. So once the root chakra, so let's say you've been living with damage and debris in your root chakra, and then you go to live in a community off grid. So you're living into the community, and now it's healing you. So what happens when you're going through the healing process? So now your root chakra goes from this thing filled with debris and crumpled and spinning poorly. Now that you've been in this space and it started healing, what happens? So this bursts open and begins to spin. And once that spin happens, what happens to all the debris? What happens to all of the psychic debris inside of the root chakra? It starts to spin out and play out and act out onto all the people around you. So in this community, because after the root chakra comes the sacral chakra. So this is about how we connect with others. It's about our creativity. It's about our sexual energy. And what happens that most frequently takes these communities down. People have arguments over what to create, what kind of things they want to create. People are getting in bed with each other because now this with the healed root chakra, connecting with others and having sex with other people is a totally different situation. So now people are trying to explore who they are. And often this is subconscious. This is just happening to them. They're not aware that their root chakra just healed and ruptured, and all of the psychic debris inside there is flying out and slapping everybody like a wheel spinning mud and hitting everybody around them. So people start having backbiting, gossiping, all of the trust implodes, all of the things that have been locked in there since from the ancestral on down are all spinning out now in the healing process. So when we go into these situations, we have to be aware, we have to walk into them with full consciousness that the stuff that we were hoping to heal is actually getting healed. And just like when you go through a detox, when you do green juice for a week, and then all of a sudden you're feeling terrible and you're sick and you have headaches and things, that's not because you're sick and you need to go to the hospital. It's because all of the debris inside of you is getting flushed out. So when you go to heal, when you go live in a community with other people, you have to recognize that at some point you are going to go through a community detox process. And if you can't live through that detox process with the community, already knowing and already being aware that you're there, and that is going to happen. It's not maybe going to happen. It's going to happen. You are all going to go through a detox process. And if you can't survive the detox, your community will collapse. So understanding spiritual anatomy is a lot more key than people give it credit for. It's not woo-woo. It's not fake. It's not, oh, that spirit stuff up there. It affects how you live and how you thrive at the most basic level. So it is worth learning and understanding these things so that we can predict our behavior. That's what astrology is for. It's about learning patterns and predicting behavior so that we understand how to respond to reality. So I just want to leave it with that.
That is perfect to leave it with. That's perfect to leave it with. And this is why we have you on the show. You feel what I mean? This is why. But this is also why, sisters, with your spiritual knowledge and adept are indispensable when it comes to us creating and developing these microcosms, because we're gonna, like you said, everything starts spiritually first. And so even us conceiving the concept of building this microcosm, we're gonna have to filter it through a spiritual lens first, yes. Right? In other words, we're gonna have to take account of every single person that we want to invite to this, and pre-diagnose potentially what issues they're gonna have, based on where they're coming from, based on all conditions that they've had thus far in this life and ancestrally.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
All right. And so we're saying all of that to say this: we have the tools to do this. We have the skills, we have the experience to do this. Are we inviting you? Absolutely. But I'm going to say this pretty firmly though, family. Are we waiting on you? Not necessarily. We're going to build this regardless. Mm-hmm. And just like any other energy system, if it resonates with you and you reach out, we'll take you into consideration. We want to see you there, of course. We want as many people as possible. We want as many Aboriginal people as possible to make it to this level of clearing, healing your own root chakra, so that you can create a brand new world. Because this is where it starts, with that root chakra.
Exactly.
Right? This entire system that we've been, conditioned in thus far, for one, is crumbling very fast. Right. In other words, when I say crumbling, the infrastructure of it, the social infrastructure of it, if you don't get into a space to where you can replace that parasite, then it's going to become very, very desperate, very, very vicious, and it plans to take you with it into a state of hibernation.
Yes.
It plans to take you with it. We would like to see you come with us. We would like to see that. So everything that you've heard from me or Raven today, this is only an hour and some change. Typically, we have a lot longer conversation about this, and believe it or not, we go into pretty deep, and not saying it's too deep for you guys to understand. Not saying that, but it's just a lot of different channeling we do when we have proper conversations.
That's putting it lightly. Yep, that is.
So we're going to continue to have these conversations. This is not something that we just thought of today. This is literally years in the making of experiences, information, research, all of these things. And so this is our only lane. This is what we think about every single day. This is what we build towards every single day. Again, we're obsessed with this, literally, right? And it's fine. Let us be obsessed with it. And when it's most feasible for you to join, by the time you want to get involved, we have a place, we have a niche, we have a position for you. Trust and believe us on that. All right. But I'm going to end it on that. Sister, do you have anything else you want to convey to the people?
No, I just appreciate you all for being here. If you were drawn to this space to even listen, then we are already soul connected and friends. I say that as a Sagittarian, everybody's my friend until you prove otherwise, you know. But I'm grateful for this space. Thank you, Dre. We're going to keep on building, keep on growing, and just keep on doing what we do behind. And then who finds us, finds their way to us, we will continue the empowerment. So everybody, please make sure if you catch the rest of this conversation. Again, this is only the first half of a 2-part conversation. Catch me over on my podcast tomorrow evening, Sundays at 9 p.m. Return of Wajedi. I will drop the link in the comments, drop the name in the comments. You can find it anywhere that podcasts are available, and we will be there, and we will be taking this conversation to the next level. So and continuing on. So thank you all. I appreciate you. Blessings going forward.
You as well. Thank you as well. All right, family. Peace and love. It's been a Straight Talk Morning Show. We will see you next time. Peace.